going to start this up. Hey, if you're right there on the edge of the building, come on in. Just wanted to recognize Jake Bennington, been in the industry for 8 years. He's a part of the Door-to-Door Experts team and is actually the head consultant of the Door-to-Door Experts. He's going to be joined by Sam here in just a little bit. Their topic is quit buying your own bullcrap. Again, this is 100% centered around sales. So let's give it up for Jake Bennington.
All right. Cool. This is very cool. That's really bright. Oh, my heavens. This is a first for me, so I need to get used to these lights. We have some people trickling in. We are all spread out. So I'm going to do the annoying thing that you hate when people do, and I'm going to ask everyone to come forward. Everyone come forward. Stand up just for a sec. Pick your stuff up together. Come to the front. Let's get a little more intimate. Yeah, if you're coming in, hurry, come on in. We're about to get started right over here on the main stage. The title of it is Quit Buying Your Own Bullcrap. Quit buying your own bullcrap. Awesome. All right, we had some people fight me back there on coming forward, which is funny because we're going to talk about that. All right? This was an experiment. All right, so everyone came forward. We're a little bit more intimate. We're with everybody. I like it. Okay, so a little bit about me. Like Mark said, my name's Jake Bennington. I've been in the industry over 8 years now. A lot of that in pest. I did a lot of pest control, and I know there's a lot of pest control people here. And yeah, shout out for pest control, I guess. I've been the bug guy that whole time, and I actually got involved with the circle. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with the expert circle. But basically, it's a group, it's a mastermind group of about 20-ish people that Sam put together. And we get together, we go on trips. We'll go to places like Lake Powell. We go to Costa Rica. We've gone to Mexico. And we have these leadership, high-level, high-caliber mastermind discussions. And it was an amazing experience. I always felt like I had more potential. I always felt like I had a little bit more to give, and I had gotten very comfortable in the position that I was in pest control. And I was looking for something a little bit more. And I joined the expert circle to help me do that because I wanted to honor what I felt like was my true potential. Okay? And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But after getting involved with Sam, I realized that I had always had a really big passion for what Door-to-Door Expert stands for, and what this event actually sets out to do and accomplish. And so because of that passion, I joined the team outright. And so now I'm one of the experts, I'm the head consultant, and I do a lot of work with all of the door-to-door expert projects and programs. So you'll see me over in the booth quite a bit. You've probably already seen me over there. But please feel free to come up and ask me questions about my experience and everything like that. I'm honestly so excited to talk to you guys at all. So I know there are a lot of workshops and there are a lot of things you go talk about. I promise you this will be worth it. I promise you. I've really taken my time. I put some thoughts together that I think will be impactful. Okay, so I had some questions, but this workshop wasn't actually announced originally. So some of these questions aren't going to make any sense. Like I had one that said, why did you come to this workshop? Specifically wondering if you had already heard the title, right? I don't think anyone in here has heard the title. So I want to ask you now, though, quit buying your own bullcrap. It was a little bit more colorful before, but I want my mom to watch this. So with your own bullcrap, I want you all to sink deep, deep, deep into the excuses that you make, okay? That's the whole purpose of what we're going to talk about today, and Sam's going to get up here with me. We'll go back and forth a little bit on that. But I want to know, when I say that, what immediately resonates with you? Where does your heart, where does your mind automatically go when I say, look at you, quit buying your own bullcrap? You probably are thinking something right now, right? Something comes to mind. So don't fight it. What I'm going to encourage you all to do is to write a lot. We're going to write a lot, okay? There's something that bugs me immensely. You guys have paid money to be here. You guys have paid money, you've gotten out of work, or you've flown in, you've made a lot of effort to be here and to be in this seat right now, to have the opportunity to hear some good content. So, if there's not a pencil or a pen in your hand with a piece of paper, that does not make sense to me. That does not make sense to me. If you want an ROI on all of your effort and money to be in this seat right now, get it out. Don't waste your time. The biggest lie I ever told myself for a long time with some of these things is, man, okay, that was so impactful, that resonated so hard with me, no way I'm forgetting that. No way I'm forgetting that. That's right here. That landed. I'm having that one forever. A week later, I don't even know what that impactful thing was. So don't buy that bull crap that you're going to remember the things that are important, because you won't. Maybe once in a while, like an offshoot thing, but the majority of the time, you absolutely will not. So everyone take a second. I see a pretty good amount of pens and pencils. By the way, if you just don't have it, it's fine. Jot it down on your phone. Get your phone out. But if you don't have it, find someone out there who will get it to you. Go make a Postmates run, whatever, but you need to have it for the rest of the workshops, okay? That is a must-have for this whole event. So everyone take about 30 seconds, right off the top. I want you to write down what excuses, honest reasons of why, now that you know what this is about, you're still here. Honest reasons. I'm not going to read it. The person next to you is not going to read it. Just be honest. Don't fight it. Because as you're trying to write these down, you're immediately going to want to justify them. Don't do it. Just write down all the excuses. Give you about 15 more seconds. Any excuse, whatever that means to you, it's open-ended for a reason. So, be in work, it could be socially, physically, mentally, who knows? Okay. So let's start. You have this little list. I want you to go back to it from time to time as we go through this, okay? That list is for you. It's just for you. But I want you to reflect on it when we go over these concepts and these principles. First thing I want to say, and I'm going to say this slowly because there's some big words that I struggle with saying, okay? Rationalization is the intellectual drug that anesthetizes the sting of conscience. I struggle with big words, but I think I got that out. Okay. Do you need that again? For sure. That one should have been on a slide. Rationalization, when you rationalize, rationalization is the intellectual drug that anesthetizes the sting of conscience. Does that make more sense a second time? You rationalize so you can numb your mind, so you can take away the sting of guilt and of your conscience. And it is a drug that you use all the time, every single day. You are drug addicts. We all are, okay? With rationalizations. Now listen to this. Excuses are mainly a means of placing the blame of an internal problem on an external condition. Does that make sense? I'll say that again too. Excuses are mainly a means of placing the blame of an internal problem on an external condition. In other words, it is a me thing. This is a me problem. I'm holding myself back in some way, but I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to blame it on something outside of me. Does that make sense? Okay. So before we get to how to overcome excuses, we have to better understand why we actually make them in the first place, okay? And some of this will be simple, but hopefully it's presented in a little bit of a different perspective that is enlightening, okay? So let's talk about that. Why do we make excuses in the first place? Where does it come from? I wouldn't know if it's 100%, but very, very high percent of all excuses, it's based in fear. It's based in fear. There are so many different ways that we feel fear, especially in this industry. You're a rookie rep, you're gonna go get on the doors, you're shaking your boots, you're about to go hit your first door of your life, you're terrified, pee's running down the leg. I get it, I've been there, okay? It's so scary. Then as a manager, you're gonna go lead your first team. You're gonna go recruit your first guy, be totally alone in the recruiting meeting. You're a CEO, this is your baby now. We feel fear in this industry all the time. All the time. So, fear is intrinsically linked with excuse making. You have to understand that. And when you understand that and you can identify the fear and where it comes from, you can identify the origin of the fear, then you can actually make a map on how to overcome it. But there's a big lesson here in acceptance. You have to accept that there's fear you're dealing with here, and you're not dealing with it well, which is why you're making an excuse. Identify the fear, create the map. Does that make sense? This will give you a strategy that when you feel your next fear or you feel your next excuse, you can reverse engineer this, and you can start by solving the issue and map out, okay? Okay, awesome. So I need some feedback from you guys. Honest, vulnerable participation, please, okay? What are some fears that we all have that has led us to make excuses? I want to hear from you guys. I want to go-getter, please. Rejection, okay? We don't feel rejection in this industry. No one gets rejected. They say yes like 10 out of 10 times, right? Pretty much. Absolutely. No, we all feel a crippling, never-ending, incessant amount of rejection. That goes with the territory. That is this job. That is why we are uncommon among the uncommon. That is why the majority of people in the United States would not even dream of trying to do what we do, right? So can we all empathize with him? Can we all get behind him? Can we get an amen? We all understand, okay? What else? I had another hand. There was somewhere. Where was it? Don't shy away now. Yes. Okay. Totally fair. Everyone hear that? 100% commission. You put it all out there. If you succeed, if you fail, it's on you, right? At least if you take ownership. It's on you. So that's fair. Please. Not smart enough. In what way do you mean that? Okay. Don't know what to say. Don't feel prepared. Don't know how to navigate the conversation. And you had one? Man, we've all played that game, okay? We've all played that game. My wife has seen me play that game many, many times. But the point is, he said, basically, because it's all commission, I enable myself to disable myself, right? It's a jacked up game we play all day long, and we lose every single time that we're willing to play it. So it's saying, because it's commission, my destiny is in my own hands. So yeah, today, whatever, we're not going to do today, but guess what? It's in my hands. I'm going to crush it tomorrow. So not worried about it. It's a big joke we tell ourselves, an excuse for not facing today. And was there one more over here? Yeah. Oh, so you're saying like as in committing, because you have to commit really hard to the job, right? So fear of commitment, knowing to succeed at the highest level. We all know those guys are just committed in a way that you're not, right? I don't want that to be harsh, but that's the truth. The people who are more successful than you are not more talented than you. They're not smarter than you. They are more committed than you. Absolutely, right? That's a great one. Any other ones? Please, sir in the front. Potential? Fear of living up to their potential. Okay, that's a really good one that I know a lot of you can empathize with as well. So I'm going to explain what he just said. He said, living to your potential. Because once you, and correct me if I don't say it this right way, but once you hit your potential, that's the new baseline, right? So now by striving and working so hard, you did this hard thing, you've accomplished it, and now it's like, boom, the horizon's out there now on who you're supposed to be, what you're capable of, your competence, right? So it's like, do I want to really sign up for this never-ending, I hit this new baseline, so now my new potential's up here? That sounds exhausting. I don't know if I actually have what it takes to maintain that and perform at that level always, right? You kind of want to arrive. We're all seeking this moment where we arrive. We arrive with our potential, with our capabilities. Did I state that more or less the way that you meant it? Yeah? Awesome. Okay. So that was great feedback. Was there any last one? Because those are all really good. Yeah, please. Residual income and how you keep raising it to actually get to a quality of life that you want. Because that can be intimidating too, for sure, to have to build that way. Definitely. Okay, we're going to keep moving. But if you had some, write them down. These are all good, okay? These are fantastic. So what do we fear? Who knows who Alex Honnold is? Some hands? Okay, he's the guy, I think it's still on Netflix. Is it called Solo or Free Solo? Free Solo. Alex Honnold is a guy who will actually go scale mountains with no harness, no rope, nothing. With his bare hands, his arm strength, and his grip, he will just fly up the side of this mountain. And there, if for you have seen, it's like this, right? I mean, it is like a straight wall. It's amazing. He's the first person in history to go up El Capitan. No rope. No rope going up El Capitan, okay? At the rec center the other day with my wife, I struggled to get up about 10 feet with holds and with a foamy thing to land on. It's amazing. You need to check it out if you haven't seen it. Maybe get up right now. It's probably more important than what I'm actually doing, and go watch it. Like, it's incredible, okay? But something that he said, because I had the pleasure to meet him last year around April, and he said this to me again in person because I was asking about fear. You know, man, do you feel fear? Like, is it just not part of your brain? Because you could die any second. The smallest mistake and you are dead. And all this hobby was for nothing, and you're gone. Do you feel fear? If you do, how do you deal with it? So you don't panic when you're, because if you've seen the movie, he has some intense, complicated combinations that he has to do to get past certain parts, where it's so easy for him to make a mistake. The margin of error is tiny between him and death. And he said, face your fears because your goal demands it. We make goals all the time in this industry, all the time, and in life. But when you make the goal, can you say in your heart of hearts that you are actually committed to facing the fear that your goal asks for? Does that make sense? Sometimes we think, I'm going to say this goal because it is a big goal, it's a significant goal, and I feel power around it just because it's so big that I'm hoping by throwing it into the ether and saying it, that the natural force and power that surrounds the magnitude of it will pull me towards it and pull me in, and eventually I'll get caught in the orbit of this outlandish goal that I set for myself. Does that make sense? And you're like kind of banking on that mentally, which obviously is bull crap. It's bull crap. So when you set a goal, are you actually in that moment signing on truly in your heart of hearts? I'm going to face the fear that I know that this goal demands of me. Something to reflect about, right? Is that landing? Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So who knows Will Smith? Has anyone ever heard of Will Smith? Okay, he's a famous guy who's known most well for his role in Aladdin, right? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Will Smith, everyone knows who he is. He has a video on Facebook. Probably a lot of you have actually seen it, where he talks about fear. Has anyone seen that? Raise your hand if you've actually seen it. Okay, a lot of you. Okay, so this will be really good. This will be a review. It's a great video. Type in fear and skydiving, and you'll find it. And Will Smith, okay? But he talks about him going skydiving, right? And I'll relate it to my story going skydiving. The first time I ever went, I went with some friends and my wife. And the whole time, you're kind of caught in this reality of, well, you're not in a reality. You're thinking, oh, we're going skydiving today. Like, we're going to go do this thing. And you're talking about it, but it hasn't really landed how real that is, that you're really going to go do that. Who's been skydiving? Some of us? Okay, awesome. So maybe you can empathize with me, and maybe I'm saying this right, but you show up and you're kind of in this like nervous energy hype with everybody. You know, before you go cliff jumping or you do something scary, you all like get this nervous energy hype, and you're just like way too loud and way too excited and way too fast, and you're just like not acknowledging that you're all terrified underneath it all. That's where we were at. And then they take you out. They finally say over the intercom, so-and-so group, you're ready to go. And so then you have to go out, and you leave the hangar, and you're in your stupid, jumpsuit. You look like a walking human sweet tart, and you head out there, if you go in Ogden anyhow, and you head out there, and they show you the plane. They're like, okay, it's just right over there. Just head to the plane. And you're like, no. I'm not getting in that, okay? It looks like they cut this thing out of a pop-up book. This thing can fold flat at any second, okay? It's literally like if I'm pissed enough, I could punch a hole through this thing. And you're like, you're going to take us and my gang here, we're going up in that. And they're like, yeah, hurry up. So you get in, and they have to take a really long time to get up to elevation. So they're taking their good, sweet time, and usually your jump guy who's, right there with you, attached to you super tight, he's done it a million times. He doesn't want to talk to you. This is a job, right? You're like, have all this energy you need to deal with, and he doesn't want to help you deal with it. So he's kind of doing his thing, messing with some stuff, kind of just chilling, and you're just like looking around for help, and you only can look out the window as the buildings just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's all building, right? This is building, this fear. And then, I swear to you, it's like the second or third time I went, they finally get to, we're high enough, they've decided, and they pull open, who's seen this, right? You've seen it. When they pull open the door, it's like someone literally before you got there cut into it with like a knife and just like decided it's a flap that they're going to pull up and then like kind of shove everyone out when you're high enough. So they like lift this thing up, looks so sketchy. Now wind is just like flying into the airplane. And so now this fear is feeling even more real, even more real. And the second or third time I went, I had this guy who he wasn't there doing it with anybody. He wasn't there working. He was just one of those guys there doing it for his own sake. And he wasn't talking to anybody. I thought this guy died because of how casual he jumped out of this plane. He went first because he wasn't with a group. And I kid you not, they open the thing, and he walks up, he just goes, yeah, okay. And he's gone, and he's just out the window. And it's like he fell out of the side of this thing. And I'm literally like, oh my gosh! And he's gone, like he's gone. The wind just whipped him out of my view. And so we go, and suddenly they take you right to the edge. And does anyone know what they do right at the edge? Because it's very important. Will Smith talks about it, and they do it. They tell you the whole time, okay, we're going to get to the edge, okay? I'm going to hold on to this bar. Don't touch the bar. Do not touch the bar. The bar's for me. Who's the bar for? It's for me. Good. Nice. I'm going to do it here. You're going to have half your foot off the edge, and I'm going to hold on to the bar, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And they're just going to throw us out the plane, okay? Does that happen? No. When do they throw you out? So, big spoiler, if you haven't gone yet and you're planning on going, it kind of just messed with your mind, maybe. But they throw you out on 2. 1, 2, and you're gone. And they throw you out, and there's nothing you can do about it, okay? For those who have been, the wind in the world, it just whips for like 3-4 seconds. And then boom, you go flat, and now you're free falling, right? What do you feel in that moment? Do you feel fear? No. And this isn't bias. Talk to anybody who has done it. Right after the moment of the highest peak of your fear, immediately after, it's replaced with serenity. Dopamine's coursing through your freaking veins, right? But it is beautiful. You're calm, you're peaceful. Fear is so far away from your system that it is a shock to you that you felt it so violently just moments ago. Does that make sense? Okay, so what is the strategy that we learn from this? The strategy is that we need to interrupt our fears, right? When you literally saying on the count of 3, we're going to do the thing that scares us the freaking most in our life right now, how scared do you think you're going to be on the count of 3, and how able are you going to be to act on the count of 3? A lot less. So when you know you're making an excuse and you track down the fear, an easy strategy is to interrupt your fear. Now, I'm going to add on to this with something that my mom loves to say, and that is to interrupt your fear with gratitude. Has anyone heard that before? Interrupt your fear with gratitude. Replace the negative thought with a positive thought. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're going to go knock on a door, and it's in an expensive neighborhood, and there's high contract values for whatever it is you're doing, solar, pests, alarms, or whatever, and you're terrified and you're intimidated because this home's huge and people you feel like are rude to you and they don't respond to you well when you're in that neighborhood. That's what you've decided, okay? So not only are you projecting that now onto every person that you're going to go talk to, but you're setting yourself up for failure, obviously. And as you walk up to the door, that is the 1, 2, 3. So you knock on that door, you're at 3. You're at peak fear. Fair? Does that make sense? Let me change gears for half a second, come back to that. Who knocks, who's an actual door knocker? Like, who goes door to door? Okay. So, good. That was the plan. Management and, like, CEOs are supposed to be over there. So that's good. Okay. Is anyone intimidated by when you're knocking, you're going door to door, and there's someone who is not behind the door, they're, like, out doing their weeds? Who's like, I'm going to come back to you? Who does that? Why do we do that? They're not in our comfort zone. We didn't rehearse it in your yard with your weeds. We rehearsed it with you behind the door in a control setting that I'm familiar with, that I feel good about. You're freaking me out in your weeds, okay? Which doesn't make sense because they should be a lot more approachable and they should be a lot more receptive because they're outside of their comfort zone in their home, right? But anyways, we tell ourselves that, right? So as you're going and you're making that decision, you're like, I'm coming back to you. Or they're like, you know, the classic pulling into the driveway as you're awkwardly like coming onto their driveway and you don't really know, like, do I just pretend like I'm not going to your door? Or do I just like kind of slow down and then like, wait, it's awful. We've all been there, okay? Interrupt your fear in that moment. Beeline to that person. And I mean beeline to that person. You're walking, you're like, oh, your weeds. Like just boom. Even if you freak them out, it doesn't matter. That is more important that you interrupt your fear, okay? So go all day interrupting your fears. Now, when you interrupt it with gratitude, you take a paradigm shift into place. And now where something negative was, you've actually shifted it all the way to predisposition yourself to have a positive outlook and preparation for the interaction. Does that make sense? So let's say I'm terrified to get up here and talk to you guys right now. Let's say that, right? So I'm going to make an excuse and say, you know what? For all these reasons, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, I'm not going to do it. But what if I interrupt that fear with gratitude and say, how cool is it that I even have an opportunity to feel a fear like this? Does that make sense? How cool is it that I'm in a place in my life where I've worked hard enough to have some sort of value enough to be asked to be on this stage right now, to be terrified to talk to you? That is special. I'm grateful for that. Because here's the mistake that you're not understanding, is that people who do not feel fear are not fearless. People who do not feel fear are not fearless. They just aren't living at their edge. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? They're not in opportunities that are pushing them to the point where they're feeling a fear that they have to deal with. But if you are, celebrate that. Be grateful for that, because that means you're being pushed. That means you're applying yourself. That means you are working hard and thriving. You're living at your edge. There's a book called The Way of the Superior Man. Has anyone read it? Okay. Yeah, it's, there's like this, there's like a D2D like canon, like a list, right, that everyone reads. The Way of the Superior Man is not on that canon usually, but it is so, so good. And it's something that they talk about a lot, is about living at your edge. You need to be at your edge of what you are capable of. Only then do you feel the highest amount of fulfillment that you can. And that's the hard part about the edge. And I know that Josh Zuniga, for all you pest guys and just other people who know who he is, go to his workshop when he's on because he will talk about this. Once you've gotten to the edge and you know what you're capable of, you know your boundary, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee that. So any other time when now you're not there, you feel that void. You feel that gap. Does that make sense? So there are so many people that are chilling with this. And what needs to happen for you to actually ultimately overcome a fear is that you need to suffer sometimes to a point where you can't take it anymore. Where you are aware of this, you're self-aware of your potential, and you know you are not hitting it. You are not honoring your gifts. You're not honoring your potential. And this is something that I have struggled with a lot. Okay? Because you can't unsee it. So you either rise to meet it and you have fulfillment and you live at your edge, where it's hard, but it's way more fulfilling, or you suffer back here, pretending like you can't see that right there. Like you cannot see what you're actually capable of. Is that landing? We are all uncommon among the uncommon for being in this room, so I know that lands. I know for a fact that your butt is in that chair that you understand what I just said. We're a tribe in that sense. We knock doors. The vast majority of the human race will never know what it is to knock a door, and we do. And we're willing to do it because we see more in ourselves. Fair? Okay. Amen. Can I get an amen? Thank you. All right. Okay, so I have a mentor in my life now to build into the next segment of this, okay? Vess Pearson. I've worked in pest a long time. He's been a mentor to me in that space. And there's something he always said that at the very first time I heard it, I immediately rejected it. But then as I sat there and listened to it and let it sink in, there's no way I could deny it. He said, you have everything you want. You have everything that you want. If you don't have it right now, you didn't want it enough. Straight up. Convince me that that's not true. Pull me aside after, walk me through a scenario, I don't care all the horrible things that happened, why that's still not true. If you actually think about it, the things you have right now in your life that you wanted so bad, you have them because you wanted them that bad, that you did what it took, you made the sacrifice, you did it, and you have it. Those other things that you just have made goals and you've tried to do, and once I do this, I'm going to buy this thing, and whatever you're doing, you don't have those things for no other reason than you have not wanted it enough. Otherwise, you already would have had it. It would already be yours. Can we agree with that concept? Yes? That's going to lead us perfectly into what we're going to go into, okay? I want to now list types of fear. So if you got that pencil out, you got that pen out, there's way more than what I'm going to go over, but we're going to talk about a simple list really quick that I want you to jot down. Types of fear. Fear of failure. Fear of embarrassment. I don't think Sam Taggart has that one. Fear of success. Kind of what Kyle here in the front was talking about. Fear of change. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of responsibility. I don't want to crush it at that level because then that will mean I'll unlock a new tier of responsibility in my life. I'm not really down for that, but I'm down, you know what I'm saying. Fear of making mistakes. Okay, everyone have that list? Everyone need them again? Are we okay? We're chilling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should be 7. I'm going to list them quick and see if you missed any. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of success, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of responsibility, fear of making mistakes. Everyone got those? Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot more than that, okay? But I think these are a lot of the ones that we run into a lot. For sake of time, I'm going to skip this part and actually go into the next part. Now, if you're persistently making these excuses, okay? Now, notice it's not consistently, it's persistently. Do you notice that little difference? If you're consistently making mistakes versus if you persistently make mistakes. We're going to do an exercise in a second that will highlight what I'm trying to get at there. Then you'll probably succumb to some of the following consequences, okay? So here's another list. Here are some go-to consequences that you will experience because of your excuses and because of your fears. Everyone ready? A lack of responsibility and growth. You will experience self-made, self-limiting beliefs. You'll have continuous regrets and what-if scenarios. You'll have a pessimistic outlook on life. These are all repercussions, all consequences of buying your own bullcrap, feeding yourself excuses, and playing into your fears and not challenging them. You'll also have a poor judgment when it comes to making critical decisions. And that makes sense, right? If I'm going to excuse myself out of the hard things and out of certain things, then I'm probably not the person you want to count on to make a critical decision. A paranoia that prevents you from taking decisive action, similar to the one before. Here's a big one. The constriction of your comfort zone. Who knows somebody, maybe this is you, maybe it's a sibling. I have a sibling who falls directly into this category. In high school, my brother was extremely outgoing. And for whatever reason that we don't have time to get into, slowly over time, his comfort zone, through excuses he's made, has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller to the point he's not comfortable with a lot, right? Has anyone seen someone they know kind of reduce themselves over time? And you say, you were the guy. You, like, why, you can't comprehend it. You're like, how could you have gone back in that sense? And maybe we've experienced that from time to time, yeah? I think we all go through periods where that happens, for sure. Oh, and the last one I wanted to say, sorry, is mental blocks that are stifling proactive action and creativity. Because if there are excuses that are going to pop up like ad blockers, right, or ads, on the internet, that are going to get in the way, you're probably not going to be able to see the vision and be creative and take proactive action. That for sure is a consequence. Okay, so this part's awesome. All of that was more instructional. This is still instructional, but now we're going to get into some deeper stuff. When I said, what are some excuses, and you wrote those things down, you guys did a good job. Everyone look down at whatever you're writing, okay? If you have a pen or a pencil, notebook, phone, whatever it is, I don't want to see any eyes on me. I want you all to look right down, ready to write, or get those thumbs ready to type, okay? I'm checking that no one's looking at me. You're looking at me. No one look at me. All right, okay. Do not fight at all with what I'm about to say. Just respond. Write without thinking. Is everybody ready? Okay. What is your favorite excuse? Don't look at me, Stephen. What is your favorite excuse? And I get to watch all your pens and pencils start, then stop, quit overthinking it. You know what it is, or you have a pretty good idea. For some reason, we decide that when I write something down, I'm giving it so much life that I feel commitment to it. So when you take notes right now, or you're having inspiration, you don't want to write it down until you've kind of sorted it out in your mind in a way that you feel like someone else could look at later on paper and make sense, it'd be of value, and you don't want to write down just something that, we do this. We self-edit, and that actually stops inspiration, and it stops us from having the flow of creative thought that we need. In an exercise like this is a sidebar, it's a totally separate note. I just want you guys, as you go through the rest of this event and Door-to-Door Con, do not fight your instincts. You're not committing to anything by writing something down on a piece of paper. So if you have a flash of something that came up in your heart, don't ignore it because it's outlandish. Write it down. There's a reason it came up. Can we do that? Okay. So hopefully, as you wrote, what is your favorite excuse? Did anyone have one they were surprised by? Or who could share one? If they're, okay, please. I'll do it later. Okay, so you cash in on that one a lot. It's your favorite one, man. It's your go-to. Please. I could do it better if I learned even more. Yeah. Okay? Back there. It's raining, so maybe we should take a break. Okay? It's too early in the day. All right, please. What if what? What if I ruin the shot? What if I mess it up? So don't even go for it? Okay. Yep. I'm burned out. I'm burning out. I'm done. It's over. I felt that. What? The sun is down. And these are interesting, okay? Huh? What follow it? Oh, let me go hit all my callbacks. Let me go follow up with everybody. I don't need these new doors right now. I got so much potential. Okay, I don't feel like it. Yeah, that's just straight up. I like it. Okay, one more? Are we good? Yeah. Underqualified, for sure. I'm going to come back to that one a little bit later. Okay, so if one came immediately to mind and you were able to just free flow and just put one out, what does that say? What does that say about you? You know your favorite excuse? You know what sets you back. You see it coming from a million miles away, and you still let it jack you up all the time? Was it? You wrote nothing? Hey, interesting. You get what I'm saying? You know your favorite excuse? It shouldn't be like that. That should be hard for you. You should struggle a lot. Now, granted, I set this space to kind of play you a little bit, so you made sure to write something out. But you get what I'm saying. You get the concept of what I'm trying to say, okay? So I want you to reflect on that later. I want you to keep chewing on that throughout the day, tonight, tomorrow, next week even, okay? Why do you know your favorite excuse so well? Okay, so here's one. Let's talk about one excuse. I'm trying to think of which ones would go best out of everything we've talked about, because this is a workshop, after all. So, there's just not enough time. There's just not enough time. Do we ever feel that way? Sales reps, and we're trying to recruit, or maybe we're an owner, we're a manager. Oh, I could do that thing. There's just not enough time. I have so much going on. I just can't make time for that. Is that a comment? Yeah, the inverse, right? There's so much time that I don't need to ask myself to live at my edge today. I'll super live at my edge later, right? And we'll make up for today, for sure, absolutely. So when you make this excuse, this is what is happening, okay? It means that you lack passion. It means you lack focus. You lack discipline, and you lack direction. Those are the reasons that you say that there's just not enough time. Fight me on it. Fight me on that. There is no reason why you can't make time and move things around for the things that are important to you to be successful There isn't. So you lack passion, you lack focus, discipline, and you lack direction. It also means that your priorities are out of place, for sure. If it's something that's important in your life, but you can't make time for it, your priorities are out of place. I don't have an education. I don't know enough. If I knew enough, I could do it even better. So I'm not really going to go for it yet. I'm going to go study. Oh my gosh. The rep that says, I was knocking, but you know what? I feel like I'm doing so bad. I'm just going to go read for a while. You know what I mean? I'm going to regroup. I'm going to hit it so hard. I'm going to study. I'm going to watch these videos and just get straight. And then I'm going to go hit it so hard. And you're like, okay, there's a time and place for that. And if you really need it, right, but at the end of the day, that's an excuse. They're saying, I don't have an education. I don't know enough. And that's the excuse that they're implanting in there. So if that is you throughout the day, throughout your business, throughout the summer, throughout the year, then you are lacking creativity, you're lacking inspiration, and you're lacking desire. That's just the truth. Get pissed at me for saying some of these things. I don't care, okay? These things hurt for a reason. You're going to fight against them at first for a reason. But that is the truth. If this is your excuse, you're going to say, that means you lack creativity, inspiration, and you lack desire. That is what you need to deal with. It also means you have a you lack the willingness to work hard and go the extra mile to achieve your objective. That's also what you're saying. That's also the excuse and the consequence of it. There are so many numerous multi-million and billionaire people out there who've never graduated college. Raise your hand in here if you have not graduated college. Everyone look around. What, they know something you don't? They've had an opportunity that you don't? I don't think so. Don't use that anymore. Quit buying your bull crap. You know enough. If you don't think you do, it's because you lack creativity, inspiration, and desire. So fix that. Get on it. Have kids. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, how about this one? I'm just too old. Or I'm just too young. Have you guys heard this one before? Because we're so tricky, we're so creative with excuses. Our mind is so fascinating that we can attack this excuse from every angle. We can use it this way, repackage it, use it this way, right? Oh, it's too hot today. Oh, it's too cold today. Oh, no one's home. Oh, everyone's home. We're always going to be able to pivot and re-represent something to justify and rationalize the sting of our conscience. That's what we started with. So I'm just too old or I'm just too young. All these young whippersnappers, they got the energy. They can go faster between doors. They have more charisma. They have connections. They're more dialed in with society and, the nuances and minutia, whatever. Right? Do we say that as older people in this industry, which at times seems to be dominated by people who are a little bit younger? Absolutely. It's bull crap, and it's an excuse, and quit buying it. Oh, I'm too young. I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm 21. That person's 30, that person's 35, they're 40. They've been doing this so long, they're so experienced, that I can't do what they do. I can't even try. I'm not going to do it. So it means if you make this excuse that you lack understanding, you lack confidence, and you lack perspective. Understanding, confidence, perspective. That's what you're lacking. Men and women of all ages have obviously achieved incredible things. David Goggins, do we have any fans in here? Stay hard! By the way, follow him on Instagram. He swears a lot, but follow him on Instagram. He follows 0 people. It's kind of cool to see that. Literally, it's like a gray 0. Instagram didn't know what color to put it because they never see it. How old is he? He's around 50-ish. You said 47, is that what you said? Yeah, something right there, right? He's around there. What does he do all the time? He runs ultras. And he's in the best shape of his life and having the best time and pace of his entire life, where he's running 100 miles at what pace? What do you think? For 100 miles, his pace. Any guesses? Huh? 7:40. Who can run a 7:40 right now, 1 mile? Okay, some hands. Yeah, so think about that. He's doing his best at his oldest, okay? All right, here's one, and this kind of goes with the other one that you were saying. I don't know how. I don't know how to do it. I'm literally not even going to try. I'm not even going to go for it because it's so far out of my wheelhouse, I'm not even going to do it. If you're making that excuse, you lack obviously self-belief, you lack confidence, and your ability to achieve your goal. That is what is happening if you are saying that. So furthermore, it actually indicates that you simply haven't taken the time to practice. So this is a reflection of your effort. When you say, I don't know how. That's a reflection of your effort that you've put into whatever it is. The time to practice, to learn, to gain the experience. You haven't done it. You haven't done the reps. So out of all of these excuses, this one is the easiest one to fix. Go learn. Go take the time. Go read. Go get the content. Go practice. This is actually the easiest one to fix out of these excuses. Okay. Here's one. I just can't change. I just can't change. Has anybody said that before? For any reason? Who has felt that they've been landlocked within who they are where they cannot change? This is my wife. The fact that she's hugging me in that picture means that I can change. The fact that she's here front row means that I can change. This is the one that I will go tooth and nail with you, blue in the face with. Don't you ever tell me that you cannot change. Don't you dare buy that. Don't you dare ever say that to yourself. Don't you dare ever say that to your kids. Don't ever say that to a single other person in your life. I don't care if you believe it. Don't say it. Because that is not for you to decide if someone can change. I went through high school, and I had a lot of hard stuff going on in my life. I jacked around all of high school. I was an idiot. I was a disaster. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. One more F and I would have failed, and I wouldn't have walked. I would not have graduated. They pulled me aside and they said, hey, you realize you have a D- in this class? If that drops to an F, you're done? Like, you get that? I said, no. Holy crap, you scared me there. I did not know that, okay? So I got that D-, you better believe it. I went out to college. That's where I met my now wife. I was hardcore set on being an idiot. I took out a ton of school loans, and I spent it all on partying. All of it. I did not go to class. I did not go to college. I put myself 14 grand in debt to live it up, and I lived it up. All I did all day was sleep in, drink at night, smoke weed when I wanted to. That was my life, and this is me trying to be authentic and vulnerable with you guys to demonstrate the principle of this point. It wasn't until I met Danny that suddenly I cared enough about someone else more than I cared about myself. Because for whatever reason, we are not willing to do what it takes sometimes for our own sake. We won't protect and invest in ourselves for our own sake, but sometimes we will for someone else if we care enough about them. You say kids. I understand. Go have a child and you'll understand that concept. So, I left it all behind. I realized she brought out the best in me. I did not reciprocate that at all. I offered her nothing in terms of who I really was. Was I a lot of fun to be around? I think so. Could I have a good time? Could I bring the hype? For sure. Was I really good at beer pong at the time? I was. But I sucked. I sucked as a person. I just did. So I talked to her and I said, now, some of you guys know about the 2-year missionary service that a lot of people do within the LDS faith. That's something that I decided to do at that time, and I did it for all the wrong reasons. I said, I do not know how to be better. I lack all good habits. I have none. So you know what? I don't even know how I feel about God, really, but I'm going to go do this thing, because how can I not go dedicate 2 years where sun up to sundown, all I do is talk about God and preach the word of God and get spit on in his name and not come out a better person on the other end? That's why I did it in the beginning. It's the wrong reason, but it's a good enough reason to get me to go, right? So I talked to my now wife, Danny, and I said, this is what I'm going to do because I want to deserve you, and I'm going on this 2-year mission. And she said, fine, I'll go too. She went to Chile. I went to Spain. I did not see her for over 2 years of my life. And that was fear, because that was me putting our relationship on the line for the sake of our relationship. After I got home after those 2 years, we got married within 3 months. And she's here today, right here. Okay? You can change. Point received. You can change. Amen. Okay, how about this one? I'm afraid to fail. Is anyone in here afraid to fail? I'm afraid to fail, right? I'm afraid to fail. I don't want to go for that thing. It's too big of a goal. It's too big of an opportunity. I don't want to go do that. I'm just scared what happens, yada, yada, yada. It means you lack understanding. If you're afraid to fail, you lack understanding. Or you're just undefeated. You lack understanding, you lack confidence, knowledge, or experience. That's why you would feel like I'm afraid to fail. So if you solve those things, you wouldn't feel that way, right? Now, guys, I know I'm overgeneralizing all of this. I know that there are way more complexities and layers to all your situations that I'm presenting right now. At the same time, if you immediately hear anything I'm saying and you immediately, boom, you come right in and you say, okay, I get what you're saying, but like not really in my case, because like this, what are you doing? You're rationalizing. You're not owning it. There's no ownership. You're making excuses in the moment. It's the most ironic self-display of what I'm trying to teach. So if that's happening to you, when anytime I present these and you say, well, okay, that's true objectively, but in my situation it's different because, stop yourself, write that down, circle it. You need to revisit that later because you're lacking ownership in that excuse. Does that make sense? Anthony Robbins, I'm sure we're all fans of him. Him and summer sales, it's like crack cocaine for sales reps. They love Robbins. He once said that fear is nothing more than false evidence appearing real. Fear is nothing more than false evidence appearing real. It's our perspective of fear that frightens us and prevents us from moving forward. However, once we gain knowledge and understanding about the thing we fear, then in that moment we build the confidence we need to move forward and gain some valuable experience. Right? Okay. Who goes to the gym here? Okay. I'm going to take you through a little journey, but I'm going to do a little out of order, okay? Who goes to the gym alone? Okay, we're going to fix that today, hopefully. You should never go to the gym alone for a lot of reasons. One, I've understood this from being very young because my dad was an amateur bodybuilder. My grandpa was super into working out, and all they did was pump iron all day in their basement. My grandpa was not religious. The rest of the family was. They went off to church one Sunday, and my grandpa stayed home like he always did and was working out. He was on the bench press at home alone. He did a weight he probably shouldn't have done that was at his edge, right? Shouldn't have done alone, I'm saying. And it fell. He failed, it fell right onto his chest, okay? He could not remove it. So back then, the church was like 9 hours long. Not really. It was like 3 or 4 hours, whatever. And he had to lay on that bench all of church. So he had, I don't know how much weight it was, but he was super strong. So let's just pretend it was like 350 pounds or something, okay? Resting on his chest for like 3.5 hours. Once I heard that story, I never wanted to go to the gym ever. And I also definitely was not going to push myself to capacity and chop my head off, thank goodness it landed here. You come home, he's decapitated. But you get the point, right? You need to have a spotter. You need to have a spotter. The spotter does a lot for you. The spotter helps you with your form, obviously, because sometimes it's tough to be self-aware as you're doing a workout, to know how it actually looks. Are you really doing it the right way? So a spotter can step in and say, hey, you need to tweak that a little bit. You're working the wrong thing. You're putting unnecessary stress on this thing. Yeah? Okay. So if you don't have that, then you're missing that. But the most important part of a spotter is not to be there in case you fail. It's to be there to make sure that you fail. When you work out and you're going to the gym and you're trying to make a lot of significant gains and how strong that you are, you're either going to get there the super long way, and you're going to incrementally add weight and do these programs and do these things, and you're going to get stronger and stronger, but it's going to take you forever to get where you ultimately want to go. Has anyone felt that? It's frustrating. I've totally been there. It's so frustrating, okay? But when you go and someone says, hey, I want to see you fail in this last set, they're not being a bro, they're not being a tool. Be grateful for that person because they're saying live at your edge right now. I want to make sure you've given everything you have to this. And when you hit that moment where your arms go noodly and they start to go squirrely on you, right? And you got no more to give, and you start coming back down, that moment, that exertion, that stress, that tension is the most effective moment of muscle growth that you can do in the gym. That one moment, that struggle that led to failure is more valuable than 5 other sets of 10 at capacity, right? Do you get what I'm trying to say with that? So if you don't go to the gym with somebody, I guarantee you're not maxing out very often, right? Or you're doing it and you're terrified to do it. So, and you got to go ask the really strong, hey, can you spot me for a second? No one wants to do that, okay? So when you're working out, you should be failing all the time. Why aren't you? Now, I'll admit, it's hard. It's hard to get on board with, okay, I'm going to go into this set knowing we're going to reach my failure. It's not fun to do. I'm not saying it's fun. It hurts. It burns. It sucks. And it's scary. But it is that effective for your muscles and for your growth and for your strength. So I have a friend, Cody Mack. I don't know if he's in here, but he's my spotter. I go to the gym every single day with him, and we'll get to the point where if he finishes his last set at 3, which is typically, you do 3 sets of whatever in the gym for whatever muscle group, last set, I see him come up, and it was a little too smooth, right? I know he got some benefit from doing it, but he didn't reach failure. He goes to put it on the rack. I kid you not, I shove it off the rack. This is not a joke. Go find him, talk to him about it, because we do it to each other all the time now. I'll shove it off the rack and say, you didn't fail yet. What are you doing? You missed all the juice. The juice is right in front of you. You're going to get tired and work out and stop when the most potent part of this whole workout is right there for you? So literally, he's he puts it on, I go, and I throw it right off. And it shocks him for a second, and then he's like, okay, shoot, we're going again, right? So we push each other to failure all the time. All the time. Who in your life is doing that for you? Now remember, they're there to make sure you fail for your growth, So you don't buy your excuse and buy your bullcrap of, I just know I can't do one more or whatever it is. They're going to remove that. You can't say that anymore. Because guess what? You failed. They are there. They will catch it. You're fine. You're going to be fine at the end of the day. So that's not an excuse you can make anymore. I'm not going to go to failure because, oh, no one can help me. Yes, they can. There's someone there. Who's doing that in your life? Typically, when we're a spotter in life, we want to say, hey, man, that was really good. Okay, so I had another gym partner a long time ago, and I do my 3 sets of 10. I pop off. He say, way to go, man. High five. That was great. Good for you. And we keep moving to the next thing. Even though I knew I wasn't at capacity or anything, that's what we want to do because we care about people. We want to protect people. We don't want to see them in pain. We want to be a support to them. We don't want to see them fail if we're not on board with this concept and understand it. So we're going to say, hey, that was great. Even though you know they could have done better, they could have done more. Are you being a good spotter? You think you are. I'm so supportive. I'm so positive with this person. I'm so uplifting, right? It's nothing but positive vibes from me to this person, always. All I do is fortify them. Heck yes, I'm a killer spotter. Are you? Are you asking the best of your people? Are you encouraging the best of yourself and of others? You have good intentions, no doubt. No doubt. But you're not going to get the results that you want. Does that make sense? So, everyone journal for 30 seconds. I want you to think, who are my spotters? And I'm not talking just a generic spotter. Who are my good spotters? They're going to watch my form. They're going to make sure to push it off the rack if they know I can do more, to make sure I fail, to have my best growth yet. If you're drawing a blank, think of who should be your spotter. That's another one I want you to keep chewing on. Because that's something you need to approach someone about if you do not have them in that role. Or maybe they're in that role, but you need to change, update, adjust a little bit of how they're doing that for you, right? Say, hey, man, I appreciate all the positive vibes. You're so nice, man. I really do appreciate that. This is what I need from you, though. This is how you can support and spot me even better. But you need to give them the benefit of the doubt where you have that conversation and you set the expectation, right? Because sometimes we're going to get frustrated with people when we haven't set the right expectation on how they can best support us. I think we all know that's true. Okay. It's just not the right time. That's another excuse. It's just not the right time. I'm going to rip through these last couple to get to the really significant one that's still out there. It means you lack perspective, you lack information, you lack the necessary resources, if that's what you're saying. It's just not the right time. We don't have our ducks in a row. It'd probably be better if we did this and did that and not put the cart before the horse and operate that. The string of excuses that come up. You lack perspective, information, and the necessary resources. That's just it. I'm just not inspired. This one makes me want to. I'm just not inspired, right? Who has a rep that says this? I'm just not feeling it. I just know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm just not motivated. I'm just not inspired. I'm just not fired up like I used to be, right? I mean, I know we've all had these moments, but this is a very common symptom that happened in a very hard job. This is a hard job. People get to this zone. They get to this moment often. That's understandable, right? So, okay. This is where I'm going to go into this next principle. Around this time, and I'm sorry if you've heard this story before, you're going to hear it full-blown again. Around this time last year, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. For the 5 years before that, they thought that I had ulcerative colitis. They're both autoimmune diseases. Crohn's is a vastly more severe version, okay? So, I had a flare-up literally this time last year. And this is where my health took a steep, steep dive. I lost about 55-ish pounds, okay? I was bedridden for 3 weeks straight. I could not play with my daughter. I could not answer texts. I could not answer phone calls. I was completely unavailable. I was in severe, severe pain. And the TMI version of it is that I had diarrhea for 4.5 months straight. Be grateful for your turds. I was so grateful the very first time that came back around, okay? It was hard. 2019 was the hardest years of my life. I had some of the most amazing things of my life happen, but it was during the background of some of the hardest things happening in my life. So I'm going to talk about training the mind and having the body follow. Train the mind, the body will follow. It got to the point where I went to go lead a team out in Orange County, California this last summer, doing pest, okay? Doing pest control. On my way out, I'm still in a ton of pain. I have hemorrhoids. I have all sorts of issues, and I am terrified thinking about how the summer's going to go. How am I going to be able to show up for my reps when I can't even get out of bed in the morning, and I'm the primary leader on this team? I had such an internal war with knowing what to do and how to handle it that I slipped into, not depression, but whatever is on the way there, okay? So difficult. It got to the point where I felt very, very defeated. And I know, back then, I started to read a book, The Happiness Advantage. Has anyone read that? If you have not read it, I am serious. Write it down. The Happiness Advantage. That needs to be more canon than it is in this industry. For what we do and what our days look like, the Happiness Advantage is so, so critical to read and understand. Okay? You understand. Seriously, though, I am so serious. For you, your reps, everybody, okay? I realized that I needed some wins. I wasn't getting any wins in my life at all at that time, and I hadn't in a really long time. So I said, you know what? I think health-wise, this is kind of my new normal. I need to just accept that already. It's going to be up and down, but this is kind of the baseline, and I need to be cool with that and move on and quit being a victim and quit feeling bad for myself. I need to go get some wins. I'm going to go to the gym. We're in an apartment complex. We're living in Lake Forest, California. I go to the apartment. I go to the gym. I walk in. My wife comes with me, and I say, hey, I'm just going to, I was stripped down to bones at the time, guys. And to emphasize this, let's show you where I started. I have a picture here. I have no shame. I have a picture here of my glorious dad bod, and I was about 190, 4 or something like that, okay? By the time the summer showed up, that's where I was. 133 pounds in about 4 months. Oh. Yeah, maybe send the next picture if you can. There it is. About 4 months. So I show up to the summer looking like that, feeling like that. I have a smile on my face, I don't know how, but it was awful. So I go into the gym and I'm thinking, you know what, I know I'm like stripped down to bones, but I'll just kind of do the bar to warm up a little bit, kind of see where I'm at, and then throw on a little bit of weight, and we'll go from there. I sit down, I do the bar, comes on the chest, it doesn't go back up. You think you understand how sick you are until a moment like that happens. I sat up and fell immediately into despair. I had no idea how far I really had come apart. So, it took a long time for me to get over that. I just sat there on the bench, tears in my eyes, And I said, you know what I need to do? I need to stick with this, though. I still need these wins. So my wife spotted me, helped me get the bar back on, and I did like 5 push-ups and we left. For the next summer, this last summer, what I did day in and day out is I said, I'm going to train the mind, the body will follow. I need to respect my body, even though it never may get better. I need the wins in that category, and I need something to push against this despair that I feel. So I went to the gym every single day. And for the vast majority of when I went in the beginning, all I could do was go, literally do a push-up, get up, and I'd go back. Other times I'd go in, lift up dumbbells, kind of do some dumbbell crap, put it back down, and I leave and I go out. I fluctuated all over the place, but I knew that the number one thing that mattered was that I was consistent. If I was able to be consistent and make it a habit in my life to go and not hold myself to some standard, right? If I didn't want to hold myself to some standard, because we do this all the time, right? We say, hey, if I'm not going to actually work out and get really aggressive and have a really good session, I'm not going to do it. We do that all the time. Oh man, I'm just not feeling that great, which means I'm going to like half-A it at the gym, and I'm not really going to get that much out of it. It's not really worth it, because if I'm going to work out, I'm going to really work out. That's how I feel. Like, it's all or nothing, all or nothing. Quit holding yourself to some bar that you need to accomplish at the gym. See what I did, bar? So I said, I'm going to throw all that out the window. I'm going to go for the sake of saying that I went, and I can look you in the face, and I can say, Stephen, I worked out today. Now, how hard I worked out, that's not what we're talking about. That's not part of this equation, not part of my conversation and how I'm considering success at this moment in my life. I went, and I did physical activity, and I trained the mind. I went every single day. During this time, I started to travel a lot too. So I'm in hotels across the country, and I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and I was still working out in those hotels every single day. If you are consistent long enough, it will lead you to intensity. Don't start at intensity. Start with being consistent. Consistency over intensity. Always. 2020, it's a new year, it's a new decade. How many people said, oh my gosh, this is my year, this is my decade. I'm going to go work out, I'm going to hit the gym, I'm going to do all this stuff. But they think, oh my gosh, to represent how committed I am, I'm going to come about it from a roundabout angle. I'm going to go buy all the gym shorts, all the workout stuff, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to get all the programs and the trainer that's just wrapping, I'm hoping again, right, that it's pulling me into the orbit of my own goal, even though I'm not prepared to face my fear that that goal demands. I'm hoping the gravity yanks me towards it because I'm doing other auxiliary things around it, right? We all know people who've done this with working out. But if you start at intensity, you're going to burn out. That's why people always do. On my Instagram, I show what it was like January 2nd or 3rd. Obviously, the gym was destroyed. There are a million people in there thinking they're going to change their life. Now, as much as I would like to be positive and think that the human race is capable of doing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it 3 weeks from now already when all y'all are gone again? Because that would be great. Because I'd like to have this gym back to it not being so populated, right? We all can understand what I'm saying. Okay, so fast forward to the end of the summer. I want you to know I struggled with what I should do with these slides, and if I should put these pictures on. I did not want to come across as self-promoting. I really did not. But I think from 1, 2, to 3, those 3 pictures demonstrate the principle that I'm talking about that only a picture can really reinforce, okay? I went from at the beginning of the summer, not being able to do 45 pounds, which is the bar, to in this picture, that's when I came home after the gym, after benching 250, okay? So now when I go to the gym, am I intense? I'm intense. I'm very intense. My wife says I'm too intense. I need to not be as intense, okay? But the only way I got there is because I was consistent day in and day out. I trained the mind and my body followed. Do you see where I'm leading into excuses with this? Can you connect the dots? Does it make sense? So here's all three of them put together. That is all within about 8 months, that whole transformation. If I can do it, you can do it too. Quit buying your bull crap. Stop it. If you need me to spot you in this moment right now and not let you get away with it, fine. Be mad at me. Think I'm harsh. But it's because I care, and I care about this industry. And I'm sick of hearing the excuses that we all tell ourselves, and we let our reps tell themselves. Don't let them do it. Be a good spotter. Don't buy your bull crap. Who had in here a resolution to work out starting 2020? They're like, this is the year I'm going to the gym. It's going to be serious. Come on, I know there are probably more hands than that. Give me a break. Come on. There we go. Okay. Who hasn't done it yet? Be vulnerable. Which one of you want to come on stage right now? Thank you. Okay. What is your name?
Two.
Two? Oh, okay. T-E-W, two. Two. What industry are you in?
Pest control.
Okay, cool. Okay. My bug thugs. That's what I like to hear. Okay. All right. Why did you set out to make that goal?
I want to look better for my wife.
Okay. Honorable for sure. Why hasn't it happened?
Excuses.
Okay. Specifically.
Moving, planning the reception, and focusing more on work.
What, are you married now? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I misunderstood my own question. Okay. What does the goal look like to you? Are you saying, what's the expectation you're setting for yourself in your goal? I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to work out every other day. What is it?
I want to train for a half Ironman, and I have the setup now, and I've committed to I've committed to start Monday. Like I planned it all out with her last week, and she's going to do it with me. Not the half Ironman, but the training part.
Okay. So you've enrolled her to help support you in that sense, right? And to be a good spotter, right? Okay, so that's great. That's good. Okay? All right. Who's worked out today? Who's that? Sam. Okay, not very many of us. Who plans on working out today? Really? When are you going to get that in? You're really going to go home and work out? I mean, maybe. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to lead us. We're going to do 10 push-ups right now. Okay? I want everyone who wants to participate, I'm not going to force you, but get up. We're going to get our workout in today. If you can only do 5, I don't care. If you can only do 2, I don't care. Okay? All right. Can you lead us? Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, overachiever. There we go. Okay, give it up for yourself. Get up for yourself. Thank you, too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Was that intense? Maybe for some of you it was a little more intense than it should have been. Okay, that's fine. But did you do it? Did you work out today? Did everyone work out today? You did it. Okay? So now go do it tomorrow. Go do it tomorrow. Do 3 push-ups. Do 2 push-ups. I don't care. Stick with it. Train your mind, guys. The body will follow. I promise you. Okay? All right. I have short time, so I'm going to skip right to this. Can anyone tell me who this guy is? Heck yes. That was way better than I thought. I thought like 2 people would be able to say it. Okay, that's Jordan Burroughs. Who is Jordan Burroughs? He is a U.S. wrestler. He is an American wrestler. Okay? Is he any good? He is amazing. He's transcendent. Okay? He's incredible. Jordan Burroughs is on the path to become the most decorated U.S. wrestler of all time in terms of medals, okay? In terms of gold medals. John Smith is the one who he's chasing right now, okay? And there's someone on his heels named Kyle Snyder. Jordan Burroughs is an incredible, incredible guy. He is the definition of training your mind. So, to put a bow on this whole thing, which I'm sorry, I had to skip a lot, I'm going to try and put a bow on this with his tweet. He sent out a tweet a while ago that I respected a lot, okay? This is what it says. And think about this, remember, with excuses, everything we've been talking about. He said, "This isn't a sentimental post. It's a challenge. Much of who you become is determined in the moments when no one is watching. There's no coach around you, no teammate, significant other, or friend to give you encouragement. We all feel that way. This job is lonely. If you're on the doors day in and day out, you are alone all the time. In most of your opportunities for growth, it's just you and your thoughts. Are you still willing to put the effort in then? Are you willing to give it your all when there is no one there to challenge you, to spot you? Understand this. If you desire to live a life of excellence, it's not only going to be hard, it's also going to be lonely. Everyone won't become great, not because they don't want to, but because they're not willing to. We've all seen your tweets and your Instagram posts, but when your phones are down and the laptop's closed, are you really putting in the work? I go to the next picture. Remember that no matter how good you become, the struggle always remains. The hill gets steeper and the road rougher. Every day is a mental battle. There is a fight between who you are and who you want to be. Some mornings I woke up and I don't want to get out of bed. Then I take a moment and I ask myself, who do I want to be? What are my opponents doing right now? Which are Russians, by the way. Then I visualize, I bet he's not sleeping. I bet he is training. And then I get to work. After mornings like those, I rejoice because I know that I've conquered my biggest obstacle myself. These are the days that I become a champion. As you journey to become your best, never let your comfort zone speak louder than your dreams. If you need to rest, rest easy in the beauty of your struggle. Because although excellence comes at a cost, so does mediocrity. Serena Williams said it best. There are days that I don't feel like training, but there is no day that I feel like losing. Which path will you choose? Closing thought. Check him on Instagram and everything. He's really inspirational. Closing thought. I'm not saying that your excuses aren't good. I'm actually not saying that. Some excuses are pretty good excuses, okay? Here's the difference. Some excuses are good, but no excuse should ever be good enough. Does that make sense? Acknowledge that it's a good excuse. It'll actually empower you. I think there's an incorrect strategy when we hear an excuse and we say, just squash it. Pretend like it doesn't matter. Pretend like it doesn't mean anything. And we totally negate the validity of it outright. I don't think that's an empowering way to approach it. Okay? Accept it. Yeah, that's a good excuse. I don't want to go knock today. I've had diarrhea 8 times today already. I want to go beyond the doors with people in California right now? No, I do not want to do that. It's a good excuse. Fair? But it shouldn't be good enough. I have succumbed to this. Plenty of my excuses have been good enough in my life. Don't let it happen to you. Quit buying your bullcrap. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jakey, nuggets on nuggets on nuggets. Go see him at the Door-to-Door Expert booth if you have not done it yet. We 45 more minutes. We have one more breakout session. They just started out in these other rooms. Check out your agenda. Go catch the last one. I was able to jump into a couple of the first two, and they were awesome. Go see the last one, then we'll be back here at about 4:15. One more round of applause for Jakey. Attaboy, Jake.